connection is a process and it's a lifelong thing. I think we all have very diverse and different relationships to where we live and where we work, but also country and where's home. My family, we have this very strong connection to Mbantua, but also a strong connection to the East Coast. So I guess it's about negotiating that and acknowledging that experience. I'm painting a mural at Carriageworks called Stockwoman. It's a depiction of my great-grandmother, Hetty Perkins, on two landscapes, the telegraph station in Alice Springs and Altunga. Altunga is over 100 k's out of Alice, and it's where she was born and worked in her early life. It was one of the first settlements established in Central Australia, and it was the site of a gold mining rush. I'd been seeing a lot of Western depictions of Australia and the Australian landscape, like Sydney, Nolan and Drysdale. One of the ways that it's often portrayed is with this kind of Gothic sense. I thought it would be interesting if I could take that vernacular, but then use it to tell my story. You know, these tropes of menace and an adverse landscape, thinking of it as an Aboriginal person, and with my viewpoint on history, it takes on a whole new meaning. And Nana's story, it is about this collision of worlds, but also living and surviving and having this extraordinary life in these really adverse conditions. Nana helped establish these stations and she was a stockwoman, and that's really hard work. She's this incredibly resilient, powerful figure, and I think they're the kind of figures that we should be celebrating. I've drawn all my life. I think what really drew me to painting was getting into colour science. I really found a whole world in mixing colour. I think we have this really innate response to colour. It can be a really wonderful communicator, and for me it's a real challenge to observe colour properly. I work in acrylics mostly, and I love how they can have kind of sculptural effect to them, and you can layer them or apply them so that they're super flat, and sometimes I've been told that my works have an almost digital quality. I think I was very fortunate. Growing up, we had a lot of artists in our lives, and that was really influential. Also, my family having a connection up here to Alice Springs or Mbantua, and that central desert painting that happens up here, but also having a connection to the East Coast and what was happening in the contemporary art scene there has shaped how I practice today, I think. I always like to talk about what I know or something that I have an experience of. So family was always a great avenue for exploring things. Understanding our ancestry can kind of help us navigate how we arrived where we are and what our experience is. The telegraph station is a very significant site for me and for my family, and it's definitely a site that we all return to when we're here. It's where my grandfather was born and where he rests, and it's the site of where the half-caste institution was, as it was called, where he spent his early life. I was struck by the compulsion to revisit it, and then it became a good vehicle for expressing that familial connection, but also a very subtle way of addressing, darker history. For me, my family made me understand that you have agency to make change, and really small things can have really huge impacts. The mural is the largest work I've attempted so far. I think it really beautifully brings together a lot of aspects of my practice. Interrogating representation is a very important part of my work. When thinking about heroes in Australia, all of the qualities that you have in someone like Ned Kelly, this almost badass, anti-authoritarian, I saw in these women. All of these forces were oppressing them. Not only the law, but it was the state, it was the church, but they still led extraordinary lives. So it's about honouring Nana, but also trying to construct a new mythos for the characters that we look at and how they relate to those landscapes.